Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto 2 Blue Vortex news update. And today we are officially at that time of the month where the chapter, it is 6 days away from coming out. So spoilers are officially trickling out for the upcoming manga chapter, and your OBC, your original Boruto chief, has the official spoilers for the chapter that have been released by Shueisha, and we got quite a bit to talk about here because it looks like Konohamaru is about to be that knight in shining armor to save his princess, because Moegi is officially getting unsealed based on what we have from the spoiler from Shueisha. Also, if you are a fan of Black Clover, the chapter review for chapters 381 to 383 just dropped on my Anime Explain channel, so check that out if you haven't already. And my first video for Gachi Akira will be dropping this weekend as well, and it's safe for anime only fans. So with that being said, let's jump right into the spoilers that we got from Shueisha, because there's a lot to unpack here, surprisingly a lot. In the chapter, we finally are getting the moment where Moegi is getting unsealed at long last, which is a great way to start off the new arc for the story, because it's basic psychology when it comes to the storytelling, since 2 Blue Vortex has for the most part been faster paced. Even in the last arc, where some people are like, oh my god, this love aspect has slowed down the story, except for when you read the chapters like they're supposed to be read, which is one volume at a time. You read them as they come out, and then you read them again one volume at a time. They flow together seamlessly, but buried beneath all that faster pacing is the fact that there's been a growing sense of helplessness and a darkness to the story. And when you take that approach this early on, eventually the good guys have to get a set of comeuppance to balance things out, which we'll touch on in a moment. To have Konohamaru holding Matsuri's thorn soul bulb at the base of the tree Moegi sealed inside of was a really nice touch here. There could be nobody else except for Konohamaru who's the one to unseal Moegi based on everything that's happened. He's the one who went through the most mental anguish in the last arc, arguably second only to Sarada. It was Konohamaru who knowingly went to the outskirts of the Land of Wind just outside of Sunagakure and confronted Matsuri, knowing full well she's made up of Moegi's chakra. It was Konohamaru who had to knowingly deceive her, despite knowing that she had Moegi's chakra. Possibly even a similar voice, which we'll find out years from now when the anime gets to this. And he had to look her in her eyes as she called him Konohamaru-chan, a term of endearment that only Moegi had called him, knowing that Matsuri was in love with him, and by extension Moegi had feelings for him that she hadn't yet vocalized. And then he had to betray her in order to save Moegi. But as Matsuri cried during his attack, Jura's words saying that love made Konohamaru unable to finish the blow, so he's earned the right to be the one to unseal her. But now the question is, does unsealing her do anything for her memories via omnipotence, since it would be a chakra reset? And if so, what does that mean for Kawaki the next time he's around her? Because that can make things very interesting to deal with, and it's a totally understandable predicament that Kawaki would be in. You can probably relate. We've all had that moment where fitting in meant reaching for something that we probably shouldn't reach for, and with Kawaki pretending to be Naruto's child because of omnipotence, he's got a big lie to keep up, and there's a lot of stress that comes from that, a lot of overthinking, and every now and then the temptation to get a little out of character is there. But after he helps unseal Moegi, he's got to pick up some better habits, kind of like I did when I switched to Fume, which is the sponsor of today's video. It's not about quitting, it's about replacing. Fume is a flavor air device, no vapor, no nicotine or harmful chemicals. It's just clean, refreshing taste. And as somebody with a sweet tooth, you know my go-to is that black licorice. And it is way better than the alternative. And the best thing about this is that it has got a very sleek wooden build to it that is crafted so well that you would think it was made in a hidden ninja village as a part of a shinobi's gear. It's perfect for trying to stay focused while you're thinking about your next move, whether you're like Boruto and you're having to evade some Anbu Black Ops, or you're battling boredom, or you've got an oral fixation and you just have to keep something in your mouth to stay busy. 500,000 people are already using Fume as a part of their habit habit-changing routine. Try it yourself by using my link in the description box and the pinned comment. And best of all, for a limited time, if you order the journey pack using my code Naruto Explained, you'll get a free fume topper. It's a awesome accessory to level up your experience. I want you to think about it like going from, say, Sage Mode Naruto level to 6-path Sage Mode Naruto level. You're a Naruto fan, you know that is a night and day difference. So do not hesitate. Click that link in the description box or the pinned comment to try Fume today and use my promo code Naruto Explained. And if you order the journey pack, you will get a free fume topper. And I say this with the strongest utmost recommendation, and I'm very proud to say thank you to Fume for sponsoring today's video, because without them it would not be possible. Now, the other thing that stands out here is that there are a lot of smaller details in the sneak peek. It looks as if Ikimoto has been taking a page out of Eiichiro Oda's book from One Piece in terms of outfits, because he's given Himawari and Inoji new outfits. One Piece fans, you all know that each arc the Straw Hats all get new outfits, which if that's the route he's going to be going moving forward, each arc there are design updates or characters, I'm totally fine with it. We've seen that he's changed designs partway through. Like, for instance, he changed Ada's design from what you saw in chapter 1 of Two Blue Vortex, and then somewhere around chapter 11, 12, 13 of Two Blue Vortex, she got a slight change to the outfit. I'm totally fine if he continues on this trend, especially since I know the fashion trends that he tends to borrow from. And when you look at the outfits, you can literally place them with what he's saying about each character, since by his own words, the clothing of the characters and their designs, they all have hidden meanings to them. It's not just purely for aesthetics. Every design has a purpose and it speaks to the character. Himawari's, for instance, is the most interesting one. She's got a Kurama top on, which never fails to blow my mind a bit every time we see it, because it just shows how far we come from the people of Konoha fearing the Nine Tails to now they're openly selling merchandise of Kurama in the form of dolls and now clothing, which if Kurama isn't getting a royalty check or the proceeds aren't going to the Biju Wildlife Foundation, that is a super criminal thing. However, there's more to her design than just the Kurama portion. It's also a fusion of her previous design. Himawari previously had a sunflower on her clothing because her name means sunflower, and when she first debuted in Naruto chapter 700 back in 2014, her design had sunflower imagery on it, particularly with the cuffs that were on the shirt and the pants. So what Ikimoto did is he gave her in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex new chapter a design that looks like it's a Kurama design, but Kurama's face is where that sunflower would have been on her last design, and the tails are going around the face in the way that the petals on a sunflower would do. So he's basically fused them, not in a literal sense, but in a stylistic sense. And I'll explain to you why that's a big deal and why you should care about what you're seeing. He's leaning into what Jura and Kurama told us narratively. Himawari is more than a Jinchuriki due to how Kurama had chakra kernels that were literally born inside of Himawari's body at her conception, which is why Jura compared her to being more like a tailed beast than like a Jinchuriki. Ikimoto fusing the past design with the current is a representation of what she is now, which is absolutely brilliant. She's also sleeveless now, possibly hinting at her being more in a combat role. She's showing off those muscles, and she has what looks like either an armband accessory or potentially a ninja headband around her arm. And she has what also appears to be a Hyuga clan symbol or Uzumaki symbol on the upper part of her top as well. Inojin also gets an outfit change, but this one's a little slight. He's no longer got the hood on his hoodie. It's no longer a solid color. Instead, it's more two-tone like the designs you would see in the mid 90s to the early 2000s fashion. Low-key looks really similar to what Kishimoto did for Hinata around 2006, I believe is when Hinata debuted in Naruto's time skip, because 2005 is when the Kazekage rescue arc happened in the manga. But he now has his Konoha headband, which before was not visible. It's now around his neck, which I personally have always loved that design choice when Naruto characters would either have it on their neck or their arm or on their belt buckle. The other thing that we can take away from this is that this is possibly a situation where one of the possible futures Kashin Koji saw has changed, because when he got that 10 Directions update, because Boruto pulled a Barry Allen and screwed up the timeline, we saw the film roll of the new 10 Directions visions. We saw Himawari staring down someone in what appeared to be a combat situation, and Inojin was inside of one of Orochimaru's caves in a hideout in Tsunagakure. We know that based on the layout and where Boruto and Kashin Koji were hiding out, and Gaara and Matsuri, they were in the cave looking for him, and Inojin looked battle damaged because it looked like he had a scar over his eye, or either an eye was closed. So either they're going to be going there at a later date, which is always possible, or that was an example of what Kashin Koji meant. He sees possible futures, but nothing's set in stone, and the future can change depending on what actions are made. But obviously, Kashin Koji retains information for all possible futures that have happened, even if they don't transpire in real life. Now, this also takes us back to Konohamaru with the tree that Moegi sealed inside of, and using the thorn soul bulbs pointed edge to penetrate deep inside of it until it can be felt deep in her chest, since that appears where the edge has to be hit, which makes sense given the thorn soul does have chakra inside of it. So the edge going into her chest, it would really hit one of the chakra nodes that are close to the heart to flood the chakra back inside of her. However, it's something where if it's really this easy, it does make you say, man, you really got to feel it for Boruto, because that means he was literally seconds away from saving Sasuke back in chapter 12. He had just defeated Hidari. Granted, Kawaki pulled up like that one party member in an RPG who waits in the background and dishes out the final hit to steal all the experience points and then get the rare item that the boss drops. But had he not been forced to bicker back and forth with Kawaki, Boruto literally could have teleported away to unseal Sasuke, assuming he had enough time to concentrate using Flying Raijin to teleport to safety, since again, Boruto isn't as good as Minato and Tobirama when it comes to long-range teleportation. He needs more time, whereas they only need seconds, and Jura did shoot him in the time it took him to have a conversation. Now, from a payoff perspective, the good guys, they did need this. But if we're gonna be getting a feel-good comeuppance moment like this, then I do believe there's a rug pull moment later on in this chapter, either with one of these Shinju or with a new development with Boruto, which is going to be very interesting to see if Boruto has any issues in Konoha. While they are working with him, he'd be showing up in Konoha right after the feudal lord demanded that he be taken down, and the people of Konoha don't know that he was fighting alongside the Konoha team out there in the Land of Wind. Only Shikamaru, Sumire, Damon, Ada, Amato, and that should be it inside of the village. There's a chance for some rather interesting character interactions if this does end up being the case, if nothing else. We'll also learn more when the full spoilers do drop, likely Monday or Tuesday, since V-Jump magazine covers usually leak out after the sneak peek, so likely tomorrow, and typically raw scans follow on the 24th after the magazine cover leaks. But if the magazine cover leaks tomorrow or on Monday, then that means either Monday or Tuesday for full leaks, since getting images is nearly impossible in Japan on the weekends, which means some of our burning questions are gonna have to wait a little bit longer, like the one that I have. Does this mean that Konohamaru finally loses his virginity now that he knows that Moegi's in love with them? That remains to be seen, because it isn't as clear of an option as you clicking here for the Black Clover chapter review, or clicking here to watch this Naruto Explain video, or clicking here to watch videos from my Everything One Piece Explain video. And also, don't forget to check out Fume by clicking my link in the description box or the pinned comment.